Okay, so picture this, right? 6-year-old me, decked out head to toe in a homemade cardboard robot costume.
Oh, I love it.
Convinced, absolutely convinced I was going to be the first astronaut to, like, high-five a Martian.
Of course, yeah.
Typical kid stuff, am I right? And, you, our amazing listeners, you've sent in some incredible, really insightful thoughts on nurturing these early passions. So today, we're going deep, a real deep dive into how to best support those budding talents, whether
Yeah.
we're talking future astronauts, artists, you name it, anything in between.
What I find so fascinating is how those early interests, those little sparks of passion, they often hint at something much deeper. A
Mhm.
natural inclination, a kind of inborn curiosity that can really truly blossom, but it needs that support.
Absolutely. And speaking of support, that's our first gem, our first nugget of wisdom from all the amazing stuff you sent in.
Okay.
Encouraging those interests. And I'm going to emphasize that word, encouraging, not pushing, not molding into, mini versions of ourselves, but truly, genuinely encouraging. What does that actually look like, on the ground, in our homes, with our kids?
Right.
Well, it seems like it all starts with really tapping into the joy, the pure joy of the activity itself. And this reminds me of actually a story, and I think you might remember this one from the submissions, about a young boy who just absolutely loves building these elaborate structures.
Oh, yes, with pillows and blankets.
Pillows and blankets, exactly.
I love that one.
So what's going on there? What can we learn from this pillow fort engineer?
Yeah. Well, it speaks volumes, I think, about the power of what we call intrinsic motivation.
Hmm.
This little guy, he's driven by the sheer joy of creation, right? That deep satisfaction of turning everyday objects like, pillows, blankets into something new, something exciting. It's not about external rewards or pressure or anything like that.
Right.
It's about the process itself, the pure joy of doing it.
Absolutely.
And studies actually back this up, When kids are intrinsically motivated, they're more likely to stay engaged with an activity even when it gets tough, They persevere through those challenges and sometimes they even enter that magical state of flow.
Oh, flow. I love that.
Yes, yes, where time just seems to disappear and they're just fully immersed in what they're doing.
Okay, but flow state with pillows and blankets, sign me up. I could use a bit of that.
Right.
But in all seriousness, while we're celebrating these amazing pillow forts, these cardboard robots,
Mhm.
all these expressions of creativity, how do we make sure that our praise is actually helpful? Because let's be real, sometimes our encouragement can maybe accidentally veer into, well, let's just say well-intentioned pressure.
Oh, absolutely. And that is where our next big takeaway comes in. It's all about focusing on effort over outcome.
Okay, I like that.
So instead of just praising the end result, like saying, oh, that's a beautiful drawing, try something like, wow, I am so impressed by how you kept trying different ways to build that tower, even when it got a little wobbly.
I love how you experimented with different colors in your painting.
I
So creative.
See, exactly. By acknowledging their effort, their problem solving, even those creative risks they're taking, you're nurturing this growth mindset. You're teaching them that setbacks, they're not failures.
Right.
They're stepping stones, on the path to really mastering something.
And speaking of stepping stones, that takes us to, well, what can be a bit of a tightrope walk, right?
Mhm.
This balance of providing resources without piling on the pressure. Because, not every interest, not every little spark needs to turn into a structured activity or a
Yeah.
class or a whole big thing, right?
That's exactly right. And this is where I think people get a little, a little too eager sometimes. Providing resources, it shouldn't just be about signing your kid up for every single class under the sun.
Right, right.
It's about really observing, paying attention to what genuinely resonates with them, what lights them up, and then finding those opportunities. But for deeper exploration, maybe it's a trip to the museum for a budding little artist or a set of tools, for that young inventor.
Or maybe, and hear me out here, maybe it's perfectly okay if that epic pillow fort remains the engineering marvel of the household, just for now.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? That's fantastic because the key here truly is to make sure that it always feels like their choice, their exploration, their journey.
And, speaking of journeys, one of the most powerful resources, and I think this often gets overlooked, one of the most powerful resources we can offer is simply our own genuine interest. I still remember so vividly this feeling of being seen. When my grandmother, she would spend hours, literally hours, just sitting with me, listening to me play my violin. And let's just say those early attempts, they were passionate.
But you felt her presence,
Right.
right?
Absolutely. And it meant the world.
You've hit on such a crucial point. Our involvement, our genuine interest, it speaks volumes to a child. It shows them that their passions, even those little, quirky ones, they matter. They're worthy of our time, our attention.
It's so true.
And the research actually supports this as well. Children who feel genuinely supported in their interests, they develop this stronger sense of self-efficacy. They believe in themselves. They believe in their ability to learn and
Right.
grow.
Have that confidence.
Exactly.
Which kind of makes me think, as we're wrapping up here, how do we adapt that support as those interests change and evolve? Because let's face it, those dinosaur obsessions, they don't always last forever, right?
Right. And that's the beautiful thing about it. See, by fostering that love of learning, that natural innate curiosity, we're giving them the tools to embrace those evolving interests. The true gift, it isn't about forcing a specific talent, making sure it flourishes exactly how we picture it. It's so much bigger than that.
Yeah.
It's about nurturing a lifelong love of exploration, of discovery. Who knows what incredible passions will spark next, right?
That's such a great point to end on. Leave them wanting more.
Right.
Who knows what they'll be into next week, that's for sure.